Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's difficult, especially post-lunch session. So we'll try to make it interesting for everyone. Just to see everyone is up and awake, may I request everyone to maybe just stand up and wave? Yeah, and we will do the same actually for you. You know, just a simple energizer. Yeah? Cool. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
That works.
Yeah. That works. All right. Cool. Excellent. So we've got a timer 30 minutes, so we'll get cracking immediately. The topic is delivering exceptional customer experiences, delivering exceptional experiences rather. And I think a couple of things which are important takeaways for me: exceptional and customer experiences. And I'll probably just dissect these to a little extent before I get the thoughts of my co-panelists here. One of the things which is often customer experiences is confused with is customer service, right? And that's a general myth that's very, very all-pervasive, if I may say. While there is a huge difference between the two. Customer service is much narrower, customer experiences is much, much wider. I just want to quote one example when actually I had a fabulous customer service, but I had to take that fabulous customer service because I had an absolutely horrible customer experience, right? And now this may sound slightly twisted, so let me actually tell you what happened. One of the banks that I was, banking with, right? I was a customer. Such an awful customer experience they gave me over the years, right? That I finally fed up. I decided I don't want to have my account with this bank anymore, right? So after many phone calls on the call center, etc., they said visit the nearest branch with whatever documents, etc. They will do the needful. I said okay. On a Saturday morning, I go there with all the documents that they needed: PAN card, Aadhaar, whatever, checkbook, blah blah blah, etc. And literally, within 15 minutes, my account was closed. I had demand draft in my hand, right? Fabulous customer service, yeah? Round of applause for that bank, right? But such an awful customer experience, right? Over a period of time. So a fabulous customer service doesn't necessarily mean a fabulous customer experience, right? But a fabulous customer experience is essential, okay? Over a series of good customer service. Customer service is a subset. The other aspect is exceptional, right? And exceptional is a very heavy word. Maybe I'll turn to my panelists to get their thoughts, initial thoughts. In the pecking order, there is good, there is great, and then there is an exceptional, right? How do you see exceptional customer experience being delivered in an insurance sector? Neha, and if I may ask you to start.
As Lockton, we're in the business of managing risk, but the heart of what we do is service. We are primarily service owned. People are our biggest asset. 80% of our actual cost is people. If we do not maintain the basis, or we do not maintain the justice aspect when we're servicing our clients, we'll probably not be in business. So while service is the base of everything we do, experience is something that we want to create at every touch point. And our constant pursuit is to create that consistency of experience. Unfortunately, fortunately, both. Claims is our largest touch point. And claims are mostly, they're covered with negative sentiment. A hospitalization, a business interruption, a fire loss, a NatCat tragedy, all of these are cost losses. These are damages that are incurred, and they're not the most positive experiences. In such negative times, what is it that I do to salvage the risk, to come in with appropriate risk advocacy, and also ensure that my client or my customers are well represented in sort of getting their recoveries from a claim settlement. For health, because there are lives insured, claims are still settled faster, or they're directly proportional to the treatment time. In natural calamity losses or in larger business interruption risks, losses can run as long as 6 months. Like for marine, your average claim turnaround time or settlement time is a bare minimum 6 months. So these claims can go really long. So across this entire tenure, my constant challenge always is to ensure that I am reaching my customer at the right point. I am integrating my conversation with all the people that are involved in that claim survey. For property risks, for corporate risks, there are surveyors, there are several other parties that are getting involved when I handle this claim. Again, coming back to hospitalization again, I think by the nature of the business is very, very dependent on my third-party administrators. It is dependent on how I partner with my insurance company and ultimately deliver service to the client. And I'm sure Ketan will agree here that for all of us as brokers or insurers, I think it's our common purpose to represent the client, and we will always represent the client. And consistency takes time, but we are on that journey. We've had positive experiences. Very recently, we've settled a very large claim on cyber, fastest turnaround for, at least for us to be 2 years into business now. So like I said, I think service sits at the heart of what we do. Experience is what gives us that case story to remember.
Very well put. Ketan, you're in a B2C business mainly. How do you define exceptional being distinct from good and great in your business?
Yeah, first of all, is this audible? It's fine. I will use this. Yeah. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting. All right. So I think I'll start with the example that Narendra just mentioned, right? So customer service and customer experience. So customer service is you want a policy document, you want the claim and everything, right? That's customer service. And I feel so if you define insurance, what is insurance? I feel it is a business of promise, right? You have made a promise to your consumer, your customer, and when the time comes, you will keep that promise. I mean, that's the business that insurance is into, right? Making the policy document easy, or making him understand what the policy is, the agility, how fast you do all that, that is all service part, right? That is expected if with a insurer, B insurer, C or any insurer, right? Because it is the basic purpose why you are in the business, right? That's customer service. And how you deliver that, right? The whole experience of Narendra going to the branch and doing everything, taking the documents, maybe photocopying, I don't know, and all that, that is the experience that the consumer has, right? So I think the journey has to be how do you make, because service eventually, everything else, the service aspect will become the hygiene factor in any industry, in any category you take, right? So there was a time when even 30 minutes delivery was, we felt that, wow, in 30 minutes you got something. Now with the quick commerce, 5-7 minutes is also, delivered, right? So that's the expectation will keep on changing, and then it becomes like a bare minimum condition of the category that if you are in the category, you have to fulfill. So everything else that you do, the experience that you create, how that service is delivered and experienced by your consumer is the customer experience part of it. And you see the evolving consumer of today, right? So today's consumer, if I talk about the Gen Zs, right, so 24, 25-year-old, or the late millennials, right, somebody in this age category, these are digitally native kind of a consumer cohort that we have, not digitally adapted like most of us, right? So we've seen the days of offline, and now we've seen how digital works, right? So their expectations are different, and so it changes the landscape completely with them, right? They are no longer comparing Zuno with the general insurance category peer sets. I'm not being compared to them. They are even comparing me to the life insurance category, and beyond that, what today's consumer is comparing, maybe insurer like us, is with, say, the ease of Amazon, the responsiveness of the quick commerce like Zeptos and everybody else, or the personalization that maybe an OTT platform like Netflix gives them, right? So he's comparing his experience across the category. It's really category agnostic right now, and that's the difference. That's because service is category specific, but your experience is beyond. It's category agnostic, brand agnostic, right? So that's the difference, I would say.
No, you made a very, very pertinent point about how the evolution happens from 30-minute expectation to maybe a 10-minute expectation. And the expectations of an insurance customer are also evolving quite rapidly. What was par for the course 5 years ago is no more that, and the goal is shifting rather rapidly in the times to come. So to deliver that outward promise that you talked about, okay, I'm sure there are internal hurdles that one needs to overcome to deliver that outward promise, right? Where do you see the biggest hurdles really coming as an industry, not necessarily for you as a company per se? Where do you see that biggest stumbling block in delivering that promise? Ketan?
So I think when we think as a consumer, right, ourselves as a consumer, we have a clarity. So we will say all this what I have been saying, right? We'll say all that. But when it comes to us being the service provider, or when from the insurer side, I think the distinction is it's not we versus them. You have to, so they are not the third party out there, the customer is not the third party out there. He's part of the ecosystem and he's like you. So I think the simplest way to do is imagine yourself in his place and see what is that you would want, and then kind of deliver that kind of an experience, right? And that's why empathy, right? We all talk about right now tech and all this. Tech is an enabler, and of course, but I think that human interface and that empathy is very important right now. And you have to start thinking that how can I better it, right? And use tech for doing that, right? Earlier, it took 7 days for a document to be delivered. Now it can happen. You can personalize the document. You can do all that. You can maybe send a quick snapshot of like a video or something like that. So that's something that's and I think when you realize this difference of they not being the third party and somebody like you, then CX, customer experience, doesn't become a function. It becomes a belief system in the organization. Right? And then everybody will come together to deliver that kind of an experience. Otherwise, it's one function against the other function, right? Underwriting will say they have done the underwriting on time, regular underwriting. Risk is something, marketing. So I think when you work in silos, that would not happen. And that's the greatest hurdle right now I think any organization faces. And more, the larger the organizations, the more I think this kind of a mindset would be there. So yeah.
Sure. You want to add anything? Yeah, to that?
So I'll quickly add here. So I think as brokers, our largest hurdle is there's lack of awareness for what a broker does. To be very honest, 70% of corporate insurance is actually handled by insurance brokers, and this is a well-established fact for the last 10, 15 years easily. Despite that, how many of us in the room would actually know who holds your policy from the broker side on your corporate or your organizational GMC or your group health policy? Very few of us. I'm sure if we could do a show of hands, I don't see a hand, but I'm clearly confident that we wouldn't know who's the broker who's servicing me, right? And as a broker, I am in 100% service business. So it is very important for me, as a consumer, while, the category awareness is happening, like health insurance is becoming, a very, very popular conversation, courtesy the onset of COVID. People have become serious about health insurance. There is medical inflation, there is retail inflation, and we do understand the importance of health insurance today. But despite that awareness, we still do not know who's our insurer, who's servicing our group health insurance. We do not know who's the broker behind the doors. Correct? So go back to your policy document, go back to your emails which tell you who these people are. I'm sure we're doing that communication, but just that basis, just that little information about knowing who your broker is. Because I'll tell you, I'll give you an example here, slightly different example, and I'm sure Ketan will agree here. When you purchase a new motor vehicle, changing the product, but when you purchase a new motor insurance, how many of us know that we can actually negotiate that first retail insurance policy on the table? Right? Because what we receive has certain inclusions, but there is a probability to negotiate on some parameters, and you can actually lower your first insurance premium, or even go to competitors in the market and say, I'm purchasing a fresh vehicle from this ABC car manufacturer. This is the particular dealer. These are my, my parameters. This is my sum insured, retail value, etc. You will get a definite saving component with the comparable price. So I'm saying by just this information, let's say if you have a broker, or even for an insurer for that matter, if you have that person giving you that information, utilize them as your extended extended help, and pick these information, have these conversations with your insurance broker, and they'll be able to, do a lot more value in your health, in your motor, or any other corporate risk product for that matter, because our job is here to represent the customer, and we'll always see for means and ways where we can come in, add value, both cost-wise, service-wise, and overall ensuring that your entire risk appetite is covered well.
Sure. No, thanks. I'm quite sure majority of people are thinking, oh, I never negotiated the premium when I was buying my last new car, and most of them are going to do that. So there is some takeaway from this session from your side for sure. Shifting gears a little bit and moving into digital and technology, because that plays an essential role in everything that we do today in business. But I don't want to get into the straight data and AI and ML straight away. What I want to talk about is the importance of human touch, which is so important, especially in a stressful situations when the insurance claim is being made, or insurance is a product about mortality, morbidity, so we are talking about those scenarios. The question, Neha, to you is the value of emotional intelligence, right? Because we talked about artificial intelligence, but I think even more important, because AI, you can still, somebody said that the entire source code is already there, you just have to download it and you can go live with it. Emotional intelligence you can't download as such, right? How do you see the role of emotional intelligence in delivering that exceptional customer experience?
So AI exists. AI is going to be there, and I think it's like this. It's the it's how Google changed the world for us when it arrived. AI is that moment, and generative AI will definitely change everything that we do. Having said this, the human element is very important. I'll talk from two aspects, one from a content or a communication standpoint, and I'll also come to service and experience. So from a content and a communication point of view, AI will always I'll say, will be enablers for me, because AI tools are, they are, while they're super good, they can, simplify my job, they can refine my content. I have to know how to use them wisely. If I am thoroughly dependent on AI tools, the sheer insight or the beauty of marketing research that we would earlier deploy on campaigns would not exist. I am foreseeing a change in in marketing teams or in communication teams where people or teams would rather reorient themselves from being content owners or communication owners to value creators, because AI will need a layer of governance. It will need they need a human element to maneuver or understand rather what is right and what is effective. It can definitely test your hypothesis, it can help you balance your prototype, yes, but you will need someone to actually manage this entire governance layer for all communications going forward, especially in regulated businesses, because we all the more have to be cautious about the words we use of the kind of claims meaning our captions or anything that we tell the audience that this is what we wish to do. All of them have to be managed by this governance layer, and gone are the days that we do plagiarism checks. We'll have to do AI checks, and there are enough tools. In fact, my teams have a mandate that they have to constantly check for AI generated content, and we want human generated content, because these databases are running on the same set of layer again and again. So chances are, if 3 of us on the stage have to run the same prompt, our responses could be eerily similar. Correct? So the way you warm up your prompts, the way you warm up the entire database engine will also allow you how to use it. So all the more focus on prompt engineering, all the more focus on you using it wisely. Coming to the service aspect, yes, AI is a game changer. Fabulous insights. I think all the number crunching that we used to do earlier I think the time is reduced. We can immediately, you throw in data, get an analysis, pick up those reports for our conversations. A lot of claims aspects is automated. A lot of that is seamlessly created to match audience personas, and that's beautiful. I think it's insane how most competitors or most other brands would have this layer of communication created where they're trying to mimic the kind of language you understand. When I say language, I'm not literally meaning the language, but I'm also saying the way I speak. So my agents are smart enough to absorb that, okay, this is a person who's logged on, has raised a query for a particular claim. Chances are he expects a faster turnaround. So the agent or the bot would respond accordingly, correct? So across all my service areas, there is optimization. There's a lot of heavy understanding of customer behavior. You know, we hear about the digital twin. So all of those amplifications are happening, and we will only see things getting faster. 30 minutes delivery to 7 minutes delivery, I'm sure that will extend to claims as well, but I'm happy taking more time.
No, thank you. Ketan, in terms of the application of contemporary technologies, and obviously there are quite a few. There is a data analytics, there is a AI, there is a generative AI, there is a ML, and they are very, very clearly defined. They are not overlapping in that sense. Where do you see the most promising technology amongst all of these, which holds promise purely from the insurance sector, because you are in a B2C play, business to consumer play, and associated risks as well with either of them, any of them, the way you see it?
So first of all, I think you cannot avoid AI, right? So however, I mean, whatever your intent, your liking, if you don't like, you can't avoid it. So AI is generative AI, and you have predictive AI, and I feel especially in a category like insurance, you should use this technology, right? Like we at Zuno, we use predictive AI for fraud detection, right? We are using generative AI for creating content, as Neha was also mentioning. Most of us do that. So yes, it's a technology and we all have to use it. It's a new technology, like maybe 10, 15 years back or maybe 20 years back, digital, when it arrived on the scene, and all the marketeers and everyone was saying that, oh, what is this and how do we do that? It was new at that point of time. Now it is a regular part of our media plan, or it has become a regular, right? So I think eventually this will happen. How do you use AI, the tools and all? Everybody is experimenting. I think the world is experimenting. At a given point of time, there are around 200, 300 LLMs that are being launched, and you find something or some fancy name that comes up, right? So we will also, India will also have its own LLM and AIs and all that. So we should use it, I think. And it, especially as I said, predictive AI, we have to use that. It, like any other technology, this is a platform, this is a tool, and that is going to kind of give you the agility of the systems, going to, increase your responsiveness, processes will be improved, and eventually it's going to help you and your customers, right? So we should all do that. I mean, it's like saying my forefathers used to, go to work or wherever they want to go on horseback or bullock cart. And I would say that I'm very traditional, and even now I will use a horse or a bullock cart. Maybe a horse is a better option looking at the roads and the traffic, but I'm saying you can't, you have to use technology. So I think there's no shying away from that, but human element is essential, especially in a business of insurance where I said it is promise, and the moment of truth is the claims. You will need somebody in flesh and blood, right? And you can use AI as an enabler, and most of us, we are using it.
Thanks. One important aspect that I want to touch upon as we come to a close of the session is what I'll call as an employee experience. And I just want to, the way I think about customer experience is that unless an organization gives a good experience to its employees, okay, the employees cannot pass on a good customer experience, right? So a great or exceptional employee experience is an essential ingredient for your employees to deliver a great or exceptional customer experience, right? How do you think about it, Neha? Maybe, and you can look at it from the employee standpoint. Maybe in a B2C play, you can think about it from an agents or a call center standpoint. Unless you are giving them employee experience, how will they pass it on? Second part of the sub-question is that how are you empowering them to deliver that as well?
So at Lockton, we have this line of business called People Solutions, which is people risk, which is group health, group term, and all your corporate health products. If we do not align ourselves with the goals of our clients and their employees, it is tough for us to sustain. And in times of today, I think employee experience has completely leveled up, because gone are the days where we are just wanting, group health insurance to just be a check mark. We wanted to apply at scale, including benefits of top-up, super top-ups, which are now becoming the norms. And clients, large corporates are becoming very, very comfortable with this larger ecosystem because it is helping them retain their talent better, manage DNI, and overall give them a sense of satisfaction in seeing happy faces come to work, right? Imagine a use case where you have a mid-senior individual who probably does not have health insurance for his parents. The group health insurance covers your parents from day one of your employment, right? Assume there is an unfortunate event in this person's family. I'm sure he's torn between work and family. He'll not be able to concentrate on work. He needs the company's back, at least in such times. I'm sure the manager is there to support him. But just that assurance of a medical cover, especially in times of today, can add such a strong financial security to this individual. And you marry that with, let's assume super top-up bhi hai. So you're getting a good cover of up to 1 crore with a super top-up. And this person, this employee is bound to continue with the organization because of this extended employee experience that has come in just because of the surety of group health insurance. And the broker and the insurer are both responsible to extend the services rightly, right? So in all of these environments, if you see, my responsibility in the shoes of an insurance broker is all the more important because the product that I curate with the support of my insurers is what should match my goals of the corporate. If my corporate is wanting to align with their employees who are probably Gen Z, have a certain requirement, maybe lesser sum insured, higher flexibility on payments, I have to do that. I have to talk to them about all the newer developments that are coming. We are having conversations on retirement benefits, there's IPMI, there are extended maternity covers, there are a lot of products on same-gender marriages for live-in spouses. All of those conversations are happening around medical insurance. And if we look after the resources or the, of the employee of our clients, and we also do that internally for our association, it just changes the entire conversation, right? I have my clients coming back and telling me that, can you create communication programs which create these awareness? And we are very happy to do that. This is an additional layer of work that we do to also increase awareness on the broker and to also talk about the product and gradually create more conversations on the overall insurance product, because every day the product is innovating. There are so many inclusions that keep changing, and you need to have the right advisor on board who can keep talking to you about it. So all the more reason to, constantly work with employee experiences.
Yeah. So I think when we say stakeholders, so sometimes we forget that our employees are also our stakeholders, right? So the CX is an important component. EX, employee experience, is also a very important component in an organization's strategy. So while we are in insurance, we realize that most of our employees are not aware of our product, and like any other consumer. So we have a regular CAMS awareness that we do internally. And as Neha was also mentioning, she was talking about the intermediaries through which you got the insurance. I can say that 90% of us all here will not know the name of the insurer of your car, or life insurance, sometimes the health insurance also. Most of us, we don't know, right? So yes, employees, and also the second part of the question, well, Neha has covered the EX part. Yes, it is a very important aspect. They have to feel valued, right? And then there is a sense of contribution that comes back to the organization. And I'll give you an example for this. Okay, so we have a product which is called as Zuno Smart Drive. So basically, this was the genesis of this happened 5 years back, 2020, right? And we have an idea workshop that happens, and it's all irrespective of, you don't have to be in the product team or the marketing or the strategy team to deliver all this. All the employees are welcome to come back with the ideas. And there was this one thought that one of the employee contributed and said that, there is car insurance that is there, but what if I'm not driving on some days? Even then I'm paying the car insurance. And that was the starting point, right? And saying that, okay, how do we go about it? So we had a sandbox product. 6 months we experimented on that, and right now we have a product that is that goes beyond that. It's not only that, it's also based on how well you drive. So again, technology is how we used it, right? Mobile telematics as a technology. And in fact, through the app, and it comes, it is a value add, right? It comes at free of cost. So if you buy a Zuno car insurance, and it comes along as a free add-on to it, and you download the app, activate it. So basically it's going to track how good you are driving, right? There's a score that you will get, like your fitness score and everything else. There's a driving score that will be given to you, and based on that, discounts are passed to the customer. So I'm saying all this and beyond. There are more examples that I can share. So this has come because and as I said earlier, you have to start thinking as a consumer. You have to start thinking as a customer, right? They are not the third party, right? And your employees are also an essential element to that. And if you create that kind of an environment, you can get ideas like this from the same people who are working with you. And so I think that's.
Sure. Thank you. One last question as we kind of wrap up. The future is going to only get better, hopefully, from the experience standpoint. While one can argue with the pace, for example, if I look at the other adjacent industries within FS, payments as an industry, the way it was 20 years back, the way it was 10 years back, the way it is today, hugely different. Banking, the way we used to bank 20 years ago, 10 years ago, today, hugely different. Insurance oftentimes looks slightly stuck in a time warp. If somebody was asleep 10 years ago and wakes up today, has something materially changed? Well, probably not much. Maybe needle has moved for sure, but maybe not much. Next 5 years, if you have to kind of put a crystal ball gazing, what do you think, one or two things, which most hopefully will change in the times to come? Neha, you first and then Ketan.
So the good part is industry advances, but so do risks. Yeah. I mean, there are so many new risks that have come in, and I know cyber is very heavy here, but with emerging risks and everyday exposures to risk, I very strongly feel that the consumer, for me it's definitely B2B, my consumer, for this matter corporate, will definitely start seeing an insurance company or an insurance broker as an extension of their business, as risk advocates or as risk consultants, and we'll be able to solve the problem better. I definitely foresee that because times are changing, uncertainties are evolving, and as we get into this newer world each day, it'll only be a more shared ecosystem, and we'll all work together to ensure clarity of thought and thus lesser business interruption costs.
Okay, so I feel, as I said earlier, right, the category it's agnostic. So people are going to compare insurance with Zomato, Netflix, everything else. So I feel personalization is something that's going to happen, and by that I mean a category like which I mentioned, usage-based insurance is going to, the next 5 years, I see that happening a lot of products, lot of companies doing that, both in the motor, and so that is car insurance and the health insurance. So car insurance, I give an example, we are already there, right, based on your driving. So that's the personalized, that's the usage-based. If I'm driving well, and somebody else is not driving so well, I should get a discount for this. Right now, what's happening is it is only on the asset, the car, right? Maybe it's not there on the driver also. And so the verb and the subject is not considered, it's only the object that's there right now. So maybe 5 years down the line, through this, I think there's an evolution that of UBI, that is usage-based insurance, and even in the health, right? If my say BioAge is better, I get a better discount. I think people are doing that. IoTs are getting connected. So one thing that I see is that's going to change. I feel, as we also discuss, and most of the forums I attend, you all said, the perception has changed. The insurance, I feel, is slowly moving from a grudge buy to a lifestyle enabler. The next generation, or the current cohort that we all talk about, the Gen Zs and this thing, I think insurance is going to it's no longer going to be a latent need right now. And there will be conversations about, we will cross that wall. right? Right now the conversation is you should have insurance and all this. Then the conversation now, the next conversation is going to which one, right? So I think that two changes, and maybe I'm hoping even the health will be mandatory kind of in India. So maybe I see that.
Cool.
And
No,
sorry,
thank you so
one
much.
more I just
Sorry,
feel
please.
to add. Maybe there could be a consolidated insurance thing happening, right? I mean, I'll explain you from a very consumer perspective that say I have 100 rupees, I give somebody 100 rupees and that he will manage it across, like one product I give him and his life, health, motor, everything is taken care of. If that happens, I don't know. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. And if I can just maybe add one, which is again my hope, is that obviously in companies we have a CFO, we have a CIO, there is a CTO representing finance, technology, operations, etc. representing, chief sales officer representing sales. We don't have a chief customer officer. So who's representing really customer at the decision table? I don't know. Is everyone's responsibility? Is actually sometimes no one's responsibility, right? So I'm hoping that in the next 5 years, at least we will have at least in a handful of companies, chief customer officer, who's actually at least hopefully representing, and there is a seat at the table for customers in the boardrooms. That's my hope. On that note, you've been a great fellow panelist. Thank you so much. You've been a great audience. Hopefully you've had some great takeaways. Thank you so much for your time.